You'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
That was odd. All right. Well, we are live now in YouTube. So, welcome, guys. I've got Michael and JR with me today from Shop Marketing Pros. And we're here to talk about everything we learned and experienced and the fun we had at ASTA and answer any questions y'all may have about ASTA or any other topics. Whatever questions y'all have, go ahead, drop them in the comments. And we're just here to answer anything for you guys today. Michael, JR, y'all want to get started? Share anything about ASTA?
Yeah, I mean, for me, was my third ASTA, and the guy actually came by from ASTA and interviewed me. So like he asked me the questions that got me thinking about it. But I that was the first time I'd ever been to the Raleigh Convention Center, which I thought was really cool, and everybody I talked to really liked it. I mean, it was just a really neat venue, tons bigger than the hotel it was at before, and just like very, very clean and nice. And then also the location of being in downtown Raleigh was neat. Not that we had a lot of free time, but when we did wandering around, I thought that was really neat. But Michael's from there, so I don't know, man. Do you hang out at the convention center a lot? Was that your first time too?
That is my second time at the convention center, second time for ASTA, but at that convention center, usually when Raleigh has like a dealer car show, a lot of the dealers set up shop there and kind of like a auto expo, if you would, between there and the NC State Fairgrounds. But that's probably the second time I've been in that building. But the ASTA was far more better than the NC, the NC Raleigh car show there held by that. But just getting to really just see industry professionals, connect with new prospects, existing clients. I mean, just seeing you guys, right? JR, Caroline, Brian, Kim, and just, having you guys in my hometown was great because it was like 20 minutes down the road for me, which was easy travels, but beautiful facility. And from the one that I was at last year that was also in Raleigh, I think it was at the Marriott somewhere in there. But this one was just, you could tell it was so many more people that showed up. And I'm glad to see that it's catching on more every year. It's such an important event, I feel, for our industry.
Yeah, it's definitely growing year over year. I don't know what those numbers are, but I was talking to some of the organizers, and they were still like more people had showed up than were even registered. So they were, it's just good numbers. I think there's still a ton of space in that location for it to continue to grow and stuff like that. And every class I popped into was really well attended. They kept the classrooms smaller. You go to these different conferences, and sometimes you're sharing a room with 200 people, and you definitely not having any one-on-one conversations in those. So I thought the class sizes were good. And of course we
Yeah.
teach a bunch.
I was just going to say, I cut out for a second. I really enjoyed the class sizes too. I kind of like teaching smaller classes where there's maybe anywhere from 10 to 20 people in there, and you can actually still like engage with them and kind of pick on people nicely and like get them involved in the class too. When there's not as many people, I know I've gone into a class and been like, all right, there's not too many of y'all in here. I'm teaching this solo. So y'all have got to keep me on track or back me up. Or if I ask questions, I need y'all to answer it. And just like make friends, get them to say their name at the beginning of the class or introduce yourself when they walk in so that you have somebody to call on. I'm not like, you over there. I'm like, Michael, tell me what you think about this. And like really incorporate them into the class is the sizes, even like the size and layout of the classrooms themselves too. I really enjoyed. We taught 4 classes. So the annual marketing planning, local services ads management, and service advisor management, everything about AI, all of the AI search stuff from Brian, and then Kim's women's leadership panel. And I think all of them had great attendance, great feedback, I think, from what we heard from other people so far. So that's really exciting to hear all the time.
Yeah, I got to pop into 2 of the 4. And honestly, sitting in Brian's AI class, I was actually learning stuff because that's I was joking with him. Brian's taught a lot, and he's an expert on things like SEO. I mean, he's just really confident teaching, but he was like preparing up until the last second for that AI class because literally every day there's new stuff out there. So it's kind of neat to teach something that is still evolving. And I was in there I just popped in for 20 or 30 minutes. The class was full. I had to stand in the back, and people's questions were really good. It's just neat. And he was posing some information that even I didn't know. that was cool.
Yeah, and for anybody that's listening, these events, they're not your traditional just show up for class and sit in class for hours and hours and hours. I mean, this is engaging. They've got like a ASTA, pre-party. They've got after hours events, things of that nature. I mean, it's just really fun, and just really the collaboration, just getting everybody kind of in the same building to just kind of celebrate what we do as an industry in general. But it's not your typical just sign up for a class, show up, and it's boring. No, it's anything but that. So
Yeah, we have a couple of people in here watching. So if y'all are just coming in, welcome. We're here today talking about everything from ASTA or answering any questions y'all have marketing related, ASTA related, Shop Marketing Pros related. So go ahead. If y'all are in here, drop a comment. Let us know your name, your shop name, where you're located, and if you went to ASTA or not. And we'll keep an eye in the comments. There's only a couple y'all right now, so I'll know if y'all dropped a comment or not. Daniel just asked, what does ASTA stand for? That's a great question. ASTA is the Automotive Service and Tire Alliance. It's based out of North Carolina. It used to be something else prior to that, though, not ASTE, but ASTA was something other than ASTA before it was ASTA, right, Michael?
yes, I'm not sure what the pre-acronym was. I only kind of got in on it when it was ASTA, but yeah, you're right. It used to be something different and kind of evolved into what it is now.
It was still an automotive organization, but just under a different name that is now the ASTA. And we say ASTA, but it's the ASTA Expo is what we're talking about. So it's their conference, just like something like Vision, Bimmers, totally gonna blank on all of them now. Any other ones? Apex, SEMA, any other organization that hosts their event, their conference every year. We're talking about the ASTA's Expo. It's in North Carolina.
Yep. Yeah, someone said it to me in the hall what it used to like, because I was saying, oh, this is a new venue. They're like, actually, years and years and years ago, it was downtown as well when it was like Tire or something, And I think somewhere there's a merger of two different organizations. I don't know the whole history, but yeah, definitely has gotten bigger every single year and funner. So Michael mentioned the engaging stuff, and we were fortunate enough to sponsor the opening party on that Thursday night, which was pretty cool. There was a lot of rides and stuff like that. I don't know who, but some people showed up in spacesuits. I thought that was
I don't know. It was out of this world, though. It just crazy.
It was cool. And they really pivoted really well. Like, God bless people who put on conferences, but all the stuff behind the scenes that goes on to deal with that. And I know with that one, they had another venue and then something went wrong at that venue. And it was my coworker. And they had to like set it up in there. And a lot of people really liked it better. I mean, there was sumo, like inflatable sumo wrestling. The three of us got into inflatable balls and played soccer. That was a trip. Mechanical
bull riding, mechanical bull.
Yeah.
There was a lot in there. It was fun, though. I think Jesse and Ryan did a great job, like you said, pivoting. And we talked to them a lot in the planning of the pre-party and just throughout them, like planning the conference. And they were so excited about everything that they had going on. I think their passion for it made it turn out really, really well, too, where everything, there was like, you talk about going to events and going to conferences and doing things well, and they really tied in a lot of aspects of like experiential marketing, where while you're there, there's more going on, more opportunities, like coffees flavored for the event, or cars in the middle of the floor when you walk in, and all the tires, the aliens going up the stairs and all of that. So it was fun to see kind of the back end before and see how it all played out when we got there too.
Yeah,
the vendor area as well, I will call it, lower level, but ground, basement level, but just the variety of vendors that showed up for just anything automotive. I mean, between tires, tools themselves, the giveaways, the podcast booths that were set up, the food that they rolled out, in a kind of buffet banquet style. I mean, just always something going on. And if I'm not mistaken, they had a tattoo convention there as well on the other side of what we were doing. So we had some people that we know in the industry dropping by and getting a tattoo or two here or there. I think Tanika's son did something like that. So
I'm surprised Brian didn't do that.
Actually,
He told me he
told me-
wanted to. I don't know if he got
yeah,
by though at your class.
it just goes to show how like crammed the days are for us, like with teaching and then trying to meet other vendors, see our existing clients, go take it all in. Yeah, there wasn't even time, but it was interesting the overlap between, we got technicians and stuff like that, and then we got tattoo people over there, and it's like you can play the game. What is that, a tech? Is that someone who works in the shop, or is that just someone here for the tattoo thing? But it was funny seeing people walk through with like saran wrap and plastic wrap over their arms and legs. Like, oh, they definitely went to the tattoo convention.
All right. Well, what was your best time? What was your favorite thing about ASTA this year, JR?
I'm gonna have to say the opening party. We went in there. I mean, we'd just gotten in town, like you and I, Caroline, flew out very, very early in the morning. So, and then we immediately went in the booth and all that kind of stuff. So it was the end of a very long day, but kept our energy up, and it was just fun. It was a cool place to hang out. And then otherwise, sitting in some of the other classes. Well, honestly, always the highlight for me at any of the events that I get to go to is seeing our existing clients. I love sitting down and just shooting the breeze and hearing what's going on in people's shops. And then half the time we don't talk about anything to do with work related. Like I was talking to the Enrights about coffee endlessly, like they're as snobby about it as I am. And so we were comparing notes throughout the time of like what coffee shop they went to and how good or bad they were versus my experiences. So just getting to hang out with old friends.
I did not know that they were such coffee snobs too. That's good to know. Now I have more things to talk about with them. I was hearing about Joelle, their daughter's haircut that she gave herself. So that was fun. What about you, Michael?
Kind of piggybacking off what Jared said, honestly, it was seeing a lot of the clients that I'm used to seeing monthly on Zoom or talking to, and actually, like, really seeing them, shaking their hand, seeing how their business is doing, but getting to know them more on a personal level. That's what we're about as a company. But just that connection, and then also just really, I didn't see anybody in that place with a frown on their face. Everybody was just engaged, looking around, talking with one another. I mean, there's just really good synergy. It just felt really just like a good event, So happy that it went as such.
I can agree. I feel like that too. Everybody was happy to be there. They weren't like forced or grouchy or walking around or anything. I really enjoyed teaching. I always, sorry, Jared, I just saw your chat when you were asking for me to let you into the meeting. I always like teaching. I think it's really interesting seeing the conversations that you have in the booth with people, or like people as you're just walking throughout the conference and you're seeing them, the people you may already know, and chatting with them or nodding and kind of smiling at other people. But the connections that you make when you're teaching and get to interact with people and teach them things, but also learn things about their shop and what they're doing, and just learn more, feel like you're more involved in the industry. I feel like every class I teach, I leave it better than how I started it, because I probably learned something from somebody in there, or better understand something about how they maybe, or general people may be running their shop. And I think that's really cool and helps us do a better job at our jobs.
Yeah, especially, and also, Caroline, with the teaching part of it. I mean, I co-taught a class of Brian for local service ads, and part of that was, really breaking down that, once that phone rings, right, the leads coming in, it's what is the shop doing on their end, right, and it's the need to really having a qualified person answer that phone in such a manner to really capture that that new client's business. But also hearing from just the people in the class, talking and bringing things up. So again, just the brainstorm, right, and that feedback just happening right there live and in person is great. The engagement point, and really just learning about other shops. And a lot of us are going through kind of the same things in the industry, but being able to talk about it in a constructive manner and coming up with solutions and providing everybody help and kind of a game plan, go implement things at their shop. And I think they said it best on, we'll call it the opening day, but you're going to only retain so much information because you're being fed from a fire hose with all these classes and things like that. But if you can take 10%, 50% of what you learned and implement it, back into your shops, and it'll help that much more. Because I think everybody pulls, different gold nuggets from classes, and people just align with certain thought process, but just, getting that really in-person knowledge and going back armed with the information to make some changes and make some differences in their shops was fantastic.
Yeah, I would say whether you went or not, if you're in obviously you're in our Facebook group, but any of the other industry Facebook groups too, like Changing the Industry or the Limitless Leadership Podcast Facebook group or any other ones, those are the ones I see come up on my feed a lot. I know that they posted in their groups, like, what was your biggest takeaway or what's one thing that you're going to do this week? Kim posted it in our group too. So go look through people's comments and see what they said that they're doing. And whether or not you know the why behind it, it probably will inspire you to maybe say, oh, remind you that it's something you needed to do or something you wanted to do at some point, or inspire you to maybe do something new, test something out, engage with somebody in your community or in the industry, and just see what other people's takeaways were. And even if you weren't there, you kind of can go scan those groups and those posts and get those like golden nuggets of knowledge and wisdom that came from the classes or the conversations or the keynotes or anything like that. So those of you listening, go scour all of Facebook for everybody's ASTA posts. I've been tagged in some and seen a lot, and everybody's just sharing really, really good things. I really like the change that I think Vision is the conference that I think does this a lot, and other conferences are starting to pick up on it too and start implementing it as well, where the keynotes and the conversations, although the conversations are probably always happening like that, the keynotes are much more focused on like personal or executive development rather than just like, I don't know really what they were before, like a hype man or whatever it may have been in the past. But I think there's this direction we're moving in the industry towards more personal and professional development of making people better shop owners, making technicians better technicians, like managers better managers, and the whole idea of changing the industry, but actually adding more value back in and teaching people things and going towards that direction, I think is a newer over the past couple of years trend. And it's really cool to see that and still be able to get something from it too.
Well said, Caroline. Well said.
Thanks.
Speaking of the social media coverage, like you said, it's funny. I've never met so many people in the conference I've been to that just up and came on a dime. Like I met several people that were not going to come and then got by their own admission FOMO, seeing all the stuff like either that, I don't know, we were putting out or other people were putting out, and they just hopped in their car and came. Like I saw this one guy, he and his co-owner, technician, I'm not sure what it was, drove like overnight, all night to get there. They looked tired, but they just up and did it, because they were like, all right, we can't miss out on this. So that's something about the coverage. If whoever posted that kind of stuff, it helped.
It had to have been our video of you in the spacesuit. Just had to have been, or the recap if people came on Friday. I know every day more and more people come, or they come different days depending on whether or not they're closing the shop or how far they're traveling. But if it wasn't that video, it was definitely everybody's pre-party recaps. I know we posted some, Frog Pond posted a lot of really great stuff during the show from Callie Grace. That was fun. Some of the funniest stuff I feel like I've seen them post, where they're like dancing on the table in their funny suits. And Justin Allen with
Hunter. Just watched Justin Allen's video this morning, like summing it up, and how he's like, if there's a problem with this video, it doesn't show the actual classes. It's all showing all the fun stuff and buffets and whatnot. It's pretty funny.
I showed that to Nathan last night when I saw it, and I was like, look, wait, that person in the spacesuit, that's one of us. That's one of us getting knocked over and knocker ball and all sorts of things. So it was really cool to see.
It's funny. It's ASTA, the timing of it, like I've been doing the costume thing for 3 years now. I'm like, I'm now good. I don't have to worry about finding a costume for Halloween. However, I came home and I showed my kids. It's like, look, guys, I'm this, and they're still roughly the age where they're willing to do group costumes with my wife and I. But they came on. I was like, we can all be space. You can be an alien. You can be anything space themed, and they're not having it. They want me to like get another costume. I was like, nope. I've already the die is cast. I'm a spaceman.
Well, we don't have any other questions in here right now, at least. Is there anything on y'all's minds or any topics we've been talking about lately in stand-up and marketing that y'all want to touch on? I know we've talking about resilience in our stand-up meetings. We've talked about programmatic ads and launching that.
We can really go just completely off topic.
We can go completely off topic. The floor is open.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about Wabi Sabi then. Like that kind of, Caroline, you heard me talk. Well, both of you guys heard me talk about it a little this morning. Had you guys ever heard of that before I said those two words?
I had, and I didn't remember what it was until you said it. And when you were like, they break the pottery, and I was like, oh yeah, and they put it back together with gold. So yeah.
I'm finding that fascinating. You know, my brother went to Japan, like it's probably 2 years ago now. And he came back like, hey, he just traveled a lot, and I've traveled a lot and stuff like that. But I've never heard someone like go so gaga over a place. He was talking about how much he loved Japan and wants to move there and stuff like that. But that he came back, remember he was talking about that, about this idea of the love of imperfection, and like an entire culture where like they don't really want it to be perfect and beautiful. They want like it has to, for it to truly be beautiful, has to have some sort of imperfection to it. And that was like wabi, I think means rustic or something like that. And I don't remember what the translation is, but I thought that was really cool. And, you know, seeing that, I was like, it reminded me of what my brother said about an entire culture like that.
For anybody listening now or in the future, wabi sabi, right?
Yeah, I'm going to look it up again. So I'm not, I don't have my notes in front of me. Yeah.
It's the practice, a Japanese cultural artistic practice, I guess, where if something's broken or it's intentionally broken, instead of piecing it back together intentionally and like without trying to hide the cracks or anything, they will use gold or another color or something to show the cracked pieces. So like I'm still drinking my coffee from this morning. Imagine this was shattered and I was trying to put it back together. Instead of trying to make it perfect, my glue would not be clear glue that's going to disappear. It's going to be gold or something that's going to stick out and show that it was broken and re-put together.
Yeah, the pottery thing is called specifically kintsugi, is the name of that practice. The wabi sabi itself was, a traditional Japanese philosophy centered on the appreciation of beauty in imperfection, impermanence, and the incomplete. Boy, what a heavy idea, but I mean, it came up because what we were talking about, you know, building resilience, and like resilience means facing things that are not perfect and not ideal situations. So sometimes you just be like, this is good that this is happening.
Yeah, kind of like Kim will always say, done is better than perfect. So there are times when you need something to be perfect or you need something to be done very well. And we obviously have a standard of work and standards personally that we hold ourselves to. But sometimes you just got to get things done. Or sometimes it's not that it's wrong that it's not perfect or something, but it's just that it's done and that makes it perfect and that makes it good enough as long as other general standards are met. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like the combat paralysis by analysis or whatever. But to tie this back to ASTA, one of the classes I hopped into just because, you know, I always leave inspired, is Darren Barney with Elite was doing one of his lead. I don't remember what the name of the class was, but I popped in when he was, you know, talking about those core tenets of like kind of what you were saying earlier, Caroline, about this trend of it's not just about like how do we change our labor rate or increase car count, stuff like that. There's truly anybody to get to the next level has to have some sort of personal, you have to turn the mirror inward and improve yourself before you can improve the business, particularly, you know, leadership down. And so he was talking about some of these things like, you know, establishing routines for self-care, or, you know, he was talking about Stephen Covey and all that kind of stuff, which is not necessary. If you've never been to any sort of conference before, I think all of the modern conferences, the ones we go to, will have classes like that, and more than one, about just, you know, the same kind of thing you would find if you went to, you know, a personal, like a self-care conference. I don't want it to sound cheesy, but these things are like critical. I love that the industry embraces it, you know?
Yeah, there was that one. Kim did her whole leadership panel with women's leadership panel. I know I had walked by another class that was about like mental care, I think, or mental health in the shop. Justin Allen and Callie Grace from Frog Pond did something on like social media, but it was social media and soft skills in the shop. So other things that you need to know, that we talk about soft skills a lot here that apply to everybody. And then even as far as the closing ceremony, I think the final dinner, the guy that came and spoke was talking about like rock star employees and the 3 C's. You need to be competent, confident, and charismatic, something like that. But there's a lot of times where there's this stigma of people in the industry, automotive shop owners, things like that. They're very introverted, they're quiet, and that's fine. You can be quiet, you can be introverted. That most of them in the industry still are, but there are times where you're called higher to do things. Like nobody would say top tier shops and top tier marketing and pros work with pros and things like that. And you don't become a top tier shop or a pro shop owner by accident, or a like A-level technician by accident. You don't. You get there because you work for it and you become resilient to things. You address the imperfections and you grow and like rise to the level of the occasion to do what needs to be done. And that like opens up the doors or the next pathway, however you want to visualize it, for what's to come next, where you can go and do more things. But a lot of the people at the conference didn't start off teaching these classes. They're teaching them now because they went through those things and experienced it. So coming back to the classes, very cool to see that.
Michael,
Yeah, especially. And I was going to say too, you know, to expand on that, Caroline, you know, having come from, you know, the independent shop life, you know, when you're in that, you know, Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday, you know, that daily grind, I mean, it's essentially Groundhog Day. You're doing the same thing. And getting out to a conference like this, even if it's not ASTA, a conference, it's a it's a mindset shift. You know, it's kind of clearing your head, taking that, we'll call it a clarity break, right? And submersing yourself with industry professionals, you know, the technology side of it. I mean, our industry continues to grow so rapidly, and just keeping up with technology, keeping up with best practices. But again, it being around like-minded people and peers to exchange ideas. And, you know, when we're sitting at those breakfast events together at these events, or the breakfast, the lunch, the dinner, you know, sitting around the table, people that we really don't know, you know, strangers, but introducing ourselves and, you know, where's your shop and what do you do and whatever. And, you know, just the, again, you know, the brain trust of, oh, well, I know somebody a table over, I'd love to introduce you to. And then, you know, conversation kind of goes from there. But, you know, wanting to learn, wanting to expand, you know, and getting out of that mindset, you know, we've got to do it in an atmosphere where it's conducive, and any of these events is perfect to do that. You know, this year's running out, but definitely next year, get something on your calendar to get outside of your shop, whether you're a technician, a service advisor, general manager, owner, etc. Right? They're all welcome, but just get out and see what's out there for you.
We actually just released a blog a couple weeks ago that's the best. I want to say there's 5 to 10 on there, the best conferences for you and your team to attend. So this isn't a super niche conference like Ratchet and Wrench is specific for management. It's the management conference, but the conferences have something for everybody on your team, whether it's your service advisor, your technician, the apprentice coming with you, the technician that's been there for years and is great, whoever it may be. There's something there for everybody, whether in between education, connection, community, anything like that. So I will drop that in the comments on the Facebook post to let you guys see that. But off the top of my head, I know it's like ASTA, Vision, Tools, Apex and SEMA, maybe Bimmers, 1 or 2 others on there. And that list came from Kim and Brian, who have been shop owners and brought their team to events when they were shop owners, and now bring their team to events as vendors. So we're able to see it from both sides. And we talked to some shop owners too, to see which ones they were really consistently going to and promoting and wanting to be involved in and wanting to bring their teams to. So I'll drop that in the comments for anybody that needs to put that on their 2026 planning.
Yeah, and I will say some of my favorite moments also from these are conversations that are in between stuff. And it's kind of like life, right? The things that happen in between the big planned events. So like talking to a dude on the elevator or whatever. Some guy was walking by and he told me about a show. Well, he was wearing a shirt I was like, oh, cool shirt. He's like, it's actually from a TV show. And there's a show on Netflix called Tires. I was telling you about, Carolyn. I'd never heard it. I don't know how.
Wait, you didn't know that existed?
No, and this is the thing. And this has happened to me multiple times. Actually, I think every conference I go to, I'll always come away with some sort of book. I'll end up reading that like changes my entire mindset, or a show or a movie or something I need to do. I love that. And those are like not like from me sitting in a class, they're random conversations. And I've already watched that both season, that entire show, like at the airport coming back, whatever. That's Shane Gillis in it. It's hilarious, and it's like, it's perfect because it's this industry, but it's also, you wouldn't necessarily need to have any knowledge of auto repair, but it makes it funnier on a different level for sure.
Haley and I were watching it. We had it as background noise when I was visiting her this summer, and we were like just working on the couch in the evenings, trying to finish up some things as the end of the quarter was coming around. And we didn't want to watch anything too heavy, like, or too deep, or a show that's going to be an hour long if we started it and had it on as background noise and then like got distracted. So we just put that on as background noise, and every now and then we would both just stop and look at each other and laugh at something. We only watched a couple episodes, but it's everybody in here probably watches it or has watched it or knows somebody who's watched it.
And things like that make you like, what else do I not know about that I need to know about? And it just comes from talking to people. It was pretty awesome.
All right. Well, any other topics that y'all want to chat about before we close up today?
Did we get an official winner from our giveaway at ASTA for the golf putting thing?
We did not. And I realized as soon as we started this, I was like, dang, I should have gotten the winner together and just presented it here. I want to say we have about 15 people who submitted. And so I've got to run it through a name picker, and I'm going to post that at some point this week. There were some timely things coming back into the office and for ASTA and otherwise I was like, okay, we got to focus on this stuff, but it's on my to-do list to go look at and see who's going to win our Remarkable Paper Pro move. Some people were not super interested in it, which is understandable, but it's funny because the people who were interested were like, I need it. I want to win this so bad. If I don't win it, I'm going to buy one anyways. So let me know if I win so that I know if I have to buy one myself, kind of thing.
Yeah, I've never used one myself. I was like very intrigued. And I was trying to explain to people, I'm like, look, I don't have one. Kim loves hers, though, the thing that she's got, and uses it all the time.
JR, you looked like you had something else to say when we were finishing up topics, or were you
No,
just pondering?
My brain, it's gone.
All right. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed hearing us chat about ASTA and our random tidbits of wisdom and knowledge here today. If y'all have any questions, drop them in the comments on the Facebook page, and we will keep an eye on them and get back to them. And join us next month. I think we're going to be talking about AI or social media or programmatic ads, one of the three. So stay tuned, and y'all have a great day. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Michael and JR, for joining me too.
Always a pleasure.